Hello everyone. Now we are back to discussing savings. Now what you guys are going to find is that there are various levels of savings you should have. So savings is often incorrectly used as a general term. So we have our checking account and then we have our savings account. Well, really it should be we have our checking account and then we have our savings accounts. That is savings accounts. I wonder if you guys can hear that. Plural, saving accounts. Now, there's actually a hierarchy that should be followed when we are trying to establish a savings accounts. Now, regardless if you are saving for a car, a down payment on a home, to put money in investments for an emergency fund, you should follow the 20% rule. So whether we're talking about emergency fund or short-term goals, you should always follow the 20% rule. That is 20% of your average monthly income. Now there's actually a hierarchy. So guys, basically a hierarchy is order of importance or order of priority that you should follow when it comes to establishing your different savings accounts. So if you have Wells Fargo, Mid-Florida, Bank of America, Public Credit Union, whoever it is, you can open up more than one savings account. Now each bank has different priorities, different policies, but you can go to them and say, I want to have 3 savings accounts, and then you get to decide which savings accounts represents one. You can even, in your bank statement, you can even rename your different savings accounts. Rather than it being an account number, you can name it emergency fund account. You can name it short-term goal or car fund account or apartment rent fund account or medium-term goal account. Whatever it is you want it to be. So the hierarchy is as follows. Everyone's first priority for a savings account should be establishing that emergency fund that we talked about in savings part 1. Now for young people with minimal obligations, that is most high schoolers and college level students who do not have too many obligations, that's if you're working a part-time minimum wage job, you should have about $500 in your emergency fund account. Now, that $500, once you reach that goal, it sits there. You don't invest it. You don't do anything with it. It sits there because it's easy to grab. It's called a liquid asset, which we will cover in later homework videos. But the fact that it's easy to get to. You don't want to have emergency funds invested because there can often be several days delay between taking out investments and getting the money back in your pocket. Your investments may have lost money. If you invested $500, what if it was a bad month in the stock market and it's only worth $300 now? Well, crap, that sucks. You just lost $200 in your emergency fund. So emergency funds should not be invested. It should be a special account set aside. It is just an emergency account and it just sits there. Once you reach the goal, it sits there until your obligations increase and you need to add to it. Now, for adults, so this is not for you guys, this is for you guys in 10 years or so. For adults, as your obligations increase, you should have 3 to 6 months of your salary based on financial obligations. So if you do not have too many financial obligations, if you do not have a home, if you do not have children, you're probably safe saving at that 3-month level. So if you make $2,000 a month, 2,000 times 3 is $6,000. You have $6,000 in a emergency fund saving account. Now, as you get older and you mature, as you have children, as you purchase a home, you should have more money in that emergency fund account, closer to the 5 or 6 month salary figure. Okay, so emergency fund is king. Emergency fund is queen, however you want to call it. It is the most important, the first savings fund that you should have established. After you have established your emergency fund, so let's put it just in terms of you guys, high schoolers. Congratulations, you've saved $500. Only after you've saved that $500 should you then start considering your short, medium, and long-term savings goals. So once again, a lot of you are like, oh, I'm saving for a car, I'm saving for renting an apartment. Those are short-term goals, and that's great. That's great. I'm glad you're saving that, but you should take that money you've saved and put it in a separate emergency fund first. Once you have met that emergency fund goal, only then, now that you have a protection, you have a umbrella to protect you for when crap goes wrong, because again, unfortunately, crap does go wrong. Only then do you start considering let's focus on your short and medium term goals. If you want to buy a car, if you want to pay for some college, if you want to pay rent for an apartment. Then you can have a separate account and label it short-term goals, buy a car, medium-term goal, buy a car, so on and so forth. So once you have established your short-term short-term goal account, your short or medium-term goal account, should you then start establishing investments. So when I say investments, I'm talking about investing in things like stocks and bonds, which we have not covered yet. We will cover. You guys have probably heard the word compound interest by now. That's what we're getting at when we talk about investments. Now, here's something I want you all to know, and I kind of already mentioned this. Emergency funds and short-term savings should not be investments because of the volatility, that means ups and downs, of investments over a short period of time. Again, that would suck if you have a short-term investment to, I don't know, buy a $2,000 used vehicle, and you invest money in the stock market and you're ready to buy a vehicle, but dang it, the stock market crashed, which happens fairly frequently, not for long term, but the stock market has good days, good weeks, bad weeks, good months, bad months, good years, bad years. Well, crap, I was doing everything right, but the stock market crashed in the short term. So I'm not going to make this video about a lecture of the stock market. We will get there though. When it comes to emergency funds and short-term goals, they should not be investments. They should just be money put in a savings account that you add 20% to every single month. Your long-term savings goal, retiring a millionaire, buying a house, buying a yacht, traveling the world, thing that you're going to accomplish, in 5 or 10 years or later, those should be investments in the stock market or other investments. So let's do an example. Now, this is something that you guys may or may not see on a quiz very soon. So student X is making $500 a month. Using the 20% rule, how long will it take them to reach the recommended emergency fund value of $500? Okay, their average monthly income is $500. I'm going to do $500 times 0.2, 20%. That means $100. So that means in 1 month, the first month, they're going to put $100 in their emergency fund. Cool. So here's my question. How many months will it take them to reach that $500 goal minimum? You guys are smart people. You can do elementary school math. It's going to take them 5 months to meet that emergency fund minimum. All right, great. They have established an emergency fund. They are now wiser and more protected than 95% of their peers. Probably even honestly at your age, probably 99% of your peers that you have that $500 emergency fund. All right, cool. They made that emergency fund. Now it is time to change gears and start saving up for their short-term goal. Let's pretend that they have a short or medium-term goal of saving up for a used vehicle of $2,000. So we are still following the 20% rule. Okay, so we know that we're going to be saving $100 a month. 500 times 0.2 is $100 a month. So I'm going to do $2,000. That's my goal. I'm going to divide it by $100. That means it's going to take me 20 months. That's almost 2 years to meet my short-term goal. So just to meet my short-term goal, I'm not talking about emergency fund goal and short-term goal. It is going to take me 20 months. So here is the final question. What is the total length of time it will take for this student to meet both their emergency fund goals and their short-term goals? So if it took them 5 months, again, remember the priority. You can't do both at once. Well, you can, but it's not recommended. Meet one goal, then move on to the second, okay? Don't do like 10% emergency fund, 10% short term. Again, you can, but it's not recommended. I'd recommend meeting one goal, then moving on to the next. So how long total will it take them to reach both goals? Well, if it's going to take them the first 5 months to get that emergency fund, that's 5 months, and then an additional 20 months to meet their short, medium-term goal of saving up for a used vehicle, it's going to take them a total of 20 plus 5, a total of 25 months to meet their emergency fund goal as well as their short and medium-term goal. Okay, so now would be a good time to make a quick note about debit versus credit and how it applies to your savings accounts. So most of you guys already have a general idea of the differences between these two. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So debit payments, that is when you use a debit card or if you ever find yourself writing a check. These payments come directly from your checking account. In other words, debit is treated like cash payments. Now, the advantages of debit is that you can only buy things if you have enough money for it. Yes, that is an advantage. People work themselves into debt by buying things they can't afford. So the biggest advantage of debit payments is there is no interest associated with debit. That is, if you have the money in your checking account and you swipe your debit card, then that is treated like cash. The best way for you to pay your bills and to add to your savings is through debit purchases. So the general theme for debit is that cash is king. You will hear this a lot from various financial institutions. Now, credit, to contrast, is not your money. So anytime you buy something on credit, every time you swipe a credit card to purchase and it has the option, is this a debit card or a credit card, and you click credit, you did not just buy that item. The bank that issued you that credit card purchased that item for you, and you are promising to either pay them back within 30 days or you're going to pay them back over time with interest. So many Americans buy things they can't afford, they buy them on credit. That is the number one way to work yourself into debt. If you find that you are paying your bills on credit, then you are probably going to become an average American and end up working yourself into debt. So, in general, all of your savings and even all of your purchases should come from debit purchases and cash, because when you use credit, you have to pay back interest, and interest accumulates. We will be covering interest in here in much more detail very soon, and you guys will see how interest can be either the greatest thing ever, as it is with investing, or the worst thing ever, as it is with credit purchases. Now, LEQ and review. Class, there is a hierarchy of the savings you should have. You should not have one savings account. Very few of us, including myself, lack the discipline to manage 3 or 4 different goals in one savings account. Okay, wait. Was this money set aside for my medium-term goal, my short-term goal? Should I be investing this money? Is this my emergency fund account? Ooh, I have $3,000 in there. I'm going to go on vacation. Very few of us have that discipline, including myself, which is why I recommend going to your bank and having multiple savings accounts. Each savings account has a specific purpose. Your priority number 1 is to establish that emergency fund. After you establish the emergency fund, then you can start working on short and medium-term goals. After that, you can start getting to investments, which we will be talking about in future homework videos.